are here for the 2026 ASBR Sprint Boat Racing. This is our second year here in the lovely town of Yakima at the State Fairgrounds. At this time, I would like you to please stand, remove your hats for the national anthem.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, race fans, are you all ready for some action here in the Yakima State Fairgrounds? I can't hear you. How about it, race fans? Island hoppers, are you all ready for some racing here for the second year for the ASBR Yakima race fans? We're going to bring our first boats out here on the water here shortly. It'll be the modified class. We're going to start off with a couple of our rookies making their way out onto the water. As the process of being a rookie, there's a couple different things that our drivers and navigators do. They must sit in the boat, be strapped in, close their eyes, be able to unstrap themselves, find the turn off toggle switch, and then now we're going to send him out onto the water to make sure he can make his left and right hand turns and learn the rotation. When I say rotation, there is pamphlets that are being handed out so you can see the rotation. At each one of our tracks here in Yakima, we also go to Port Angeles, and we also race at Lewiston, Idaho, among many races. They have 3 different track rotations. These drivers are only given the rotation of that weekend's race the week before, so they must memorize those rotations. It may sound simple as you're sitting up on the beach, but once you get out onto the water, to remember to go left, right, gets a little confusing when you're out there. That's what our island hoppers are out there for, is to help all of our drivers get around the course. We're excited to be here for the 2nd year here in 2026. We have a lot of people to thank. We also want to start off by thanking Pountain Excavating and Paving. Without their support, we would not be able to make this possible. We also want to thank the city and town of Yakima for bringing us here. This track is about 3 months to build. If you have a nice pasture out in your backyard, if you want to bring ASBR to your backyard, your neighborhood, or your town, make sure you go onto your social media, look us up at Facebook at ASBR Racing. Reach out to us to see how you can get involved in racing or bring ASBR to your local town or city. Very excited to see all of our race fans out there, over there on the north side of the track, over here on the east side of the track, here in the VIP center, and of course the famous beer garden over there on the west side of the track. The pits are open to the public. It's just a small fee of $10 to come inside of the pits to meet these drivers and look inside of these boats, ask them questions, see how you can get involved with the sprint boat racing, whether you be a volunteer, whether you be a sponsor, a mechanic. Maybe you want to jump into the silly seat of the navigator. Make sure you come on into the pits. All the drivers do have swag and cards for you to sign. They'll be glad to answer any of your questions. Over there on Vendor Alley, we have some great food along with our ASBR vendor tent. Reach out to them, see how they can get involved. While we're getting ready to head out on the water, a great opportunity for you to jump onto your social media. And make sure you take lots of pictures this weekend to say you are here at the Yakima State Fairgrounds for the 2nd year of the ASBR Sprint Boat Racing. We'll be here for 2 full days of action-packed racing. So if you didn't, make sure you come by tomorrow for more racing. Make sure you grab your neighbors, your friends. As you're in town, make sure you stop at all the gas stations, the food areas, and tell them that you're here for the ASBR races, and make sure you invite them down for the 2nd day of racing tomorrow. We're very excited for the 2nd year. We're looking forward to many more years here in Yakima at the State Fairgrounds. We're getting ready to send out our first boat. That'll be the 03 of the Tilt. Sullivan Chilbert. He's got a brand new navigator, a young lady named Summer Shoup. As you can see, there's a driver and a navigator. You can see the navigator's hand is moving left and right. That helps our driver navigate through the rotation here onto the course. A very important job of that navigator is to have this rotation memorized to help the driver get around. First thing this morning, I noticed a lot of our drivers and navigators were doing what we call the walk of the course. So they were down here looking at the course. You're up above on the knoll. It looks pretty easy to navigate around through here. But as you can see, these drivers are sitting very low inside of the cockpit, and those islands are very high, so it makes it a little difficult to be able to maneuver through the course. I was lucky enough in April to be able to take my second ride in one of the sprint boats down in Ontario, Oregon for the Taste and Tune. It was a great time. So if you want to get inside of one of the cockpits, make sure you reach out to us at ASBR Sprint Boat Racing on all your social media. Sheldon and Summer come in for their first ride. We'll have to maybe get a little chat with Summer to ask about her first experience in a sprint boat race. After they're done with their track rotation, you'll see they come right over here to the start-finish line and they do a quick rotation. We call this the spin-out pool. We're going to be bringing our next set of racers out. Sheldon and Summer started off the day with a time of 97.274. You'll hear me talk about these times all day long. We do a qualifying group. Once they do the qualifying group, we'll go down to the 8 cuts, which will be the fastest 8 that are out there in our 4 different divisions of classes. Then we'll knock it down to 4 cuts, then we'll go down to the final 2. Next coming out is going to be Guanoloco, driven by Sammy McKinney. Navi, Sammy Steele. Got his racing started in 2021. It looks like the Yakima Fairground track has claimed its first victim. You'll see that these tracks are very narrow, only about 2 feet deep. Looks like you might have clipped coming around to the left-hand side. That's when our island hoppers will head on over there, give a quick little shove, bring us out onto the course. That is considered a DNF, and did not finish. If perhaps during the track rotation at any point in time, they do miss a left or right-hand turn in the rotation order, that's also considered a DNF. But they do have a few different other rounds to go in their qualifying to be able to make up for that. We're going to bring the 199 back in. Sam McKinney at the wheel. Larry Steele, your navigator, brought to you by Kenora Health Food, Washington Bakery, Solid Beat Canopy Construction, Invention Designs, Performance Specialties. the water is our 6'11" Slippery Pickle. There's my Jesse Denton. In the Navy seat is Tammy Armstrong. They got their racing career started in 2021. This pole is what's called a slipstream. There's a few different kinds of poles out there out on the water. They slipstream. We also have some pole boats into the pit area. 5 of those pole boats are here. Make sure you make your way down to the Slippery Pickle pit area. They have some great swag down there. You also gotta go meet Miss Debbie. Go down there, make sure you ask to get a picture with Debbie down in the pits of the Slippery Pickle. Getting a little comfy inside that cockpit. Took a little bit of a time to get used to the new track. But about halfway through, we decided to go ahead and hammer down and make up some time on that one. That is the Slippery Pickle. Brought to you by Wishy Washy Laundry Mat. When it comes to sprint boat racing, it's non-stop action. As one boat comes in, we're going to send the next boat out. We have 30 entries this weekend. We're bringing the numbers up weekend after weekend, along with our race fans. We're glad to have y'all here. Thank you once again to Yakima and to the Yakima State Fairgrounds for bringing us here for the second year of the ASBR racing. ASBR, make sure you look it up onto your social media, stands for American Sprint Boat Racing. Next coming out onto the boards is going to be the 154. Jeff Purcell is going to be your driver. The Navy, Margaret Purcell, out of Tacoma, Washington. Last year, he finished 3rd on the podium and 3rd in points. Hoping for this year to stand one more step up onto the podium. You'll see the drivers at first are just kind of getting used to the course, getting their left and their right rotation. As the weekend goes through, the speeds will climb. Jeff Purcell, a very experienced driver, driving inside of the hull of a Jetco. That's a 358 Chevy motor inside of that hull. Started in 2019. He was very excited when he met the Swindoll family along with the Hyatt family. They're the ones that brought them in there. That engine builder is Randy Jameson. All right. Jeff Purcell of Purcell Racing brings that 154 into the spit out pool. Official race time for that is going to be 89.948. Once again, just a reminder, between the full days of racing, be sure to grab your $10 pit pass and make sure you come into the pit area where you can get to see the boats up close and meet the race team's drivers and crew members. You can get action behind the scenes here on the east side of the racetrack. You can find your tickets at the main pavilion or online at thestatefairpark.org. Once again, grab your tickets to come on into the pits to meet these drivers. Stick your nose inside of these boats and see how they operate. Sprint boat racing is here in Yakima. It is also worldwide. We are lucky enough to have a few drivers here from Australia, Alaska. Drivers come here from all across the United States, Idaho, Oregon, and right here in the great state of Washington. So if you're here visiting from any other state across the United States or across the world, make sure that you jump onto the ASBR and say that you're watching the live stream. Tell us where you're watching from and who your favorite driver is, who you're cheering on. We like to see all of our race fans from across the United States. Next to see out on the course is going to be Eric Petering along with Karen Mesa out of Hemerston, Oregon. This is an Australian-built Stinger Hall. It's a small box Chevy inside. One of his best races was in Port Angeles, where he finished second place last year. Brought to you by Greasy Rat Garage, Central Coast Airbrush, Image Sports, and Tiny Barbershop. It's going to be Eric Petering in the Bad Idea. Going to make his way out onto the track. They're going to spin him around. Eric Petering does a lot for the sport. He puts a lot of people inside of the Navi seat. The fun thing about this Navi of Karen, she was just like you, race fans, just sitting in a lawn chair and said, I want to go out in a boat. Eric said, come on in, and look at her now here for her second year in the ASBR. All right, Eric makes his way over into the swim pool, having some issues possibly. Just a few months ago in April, took his boat down to Ontario, Oregon for the Taste and Tune, I guess you could call it. Had some motor problems. Went over to one of his competitors and got a brand new motor into the 509 Bad Idea Racing. You can see a lot of his social media posted across the World Wide Web at 509 Bad Idea Racing. Gives you a lot of his past races and future races. That's 509 Racing. Bad Idea, brought to you by Eric Petering and Karen Mesa. All right, we're going to get Eric up onto the trailer and see if we can find out what's going on with that motor. Might be having some issues. They were working all night long and first thing this morning to make the last final adjustments to this brand new motor in the 509 Racing. At this time, I want to remind all of our race fans, the pits are open to the public. Make sure that you go down and get close to these drivers, ask them how you can get involved. They're always looking for volunteers. If you want to be one of the island hoppers and get the best view in the house, make sure you reach out to ASBR. You want to be a sponsor, you can have your boat on the side, your name of your company, your LLC, your corporation, your store, your manufacturer, right across the side of these boats. I call them floating billboards. We're here in Yakima. We also do travel to Idaho for Lewiston and all the way over to the west side to Port Angeles for more racing. A lot of our drivers and crews all do their social media, so you could have your name across the side of their boat. Reach out to these drivers. You can find their links through the ASBR Facebook site. Would like to give another big shout out to one of our many sponsors this weekend. When you play Washington Lottery's games, you're supporting the local community. Last year, millions went to the students, furthering careers and degrees and job training. Learning more at walottery.com/whose benefits. We're proud to acknowledge Washington Lottery as official starting lineup sponsor for this year's sprint boat racing here in Yakima. We also want to thank Oxford Suites for providing hotel rooms for all of our ASBR officials, crews, and drivers. Once again, thank you again, Oxford Suites, for giving a great hospitality for all of our ASBR officials, crews, and drivers. Our next class out will be LS class, but we are going to do one more try for our brand new driver out there in the 76. Driver will be Alex Hexby, the navigator, Candace Brownsburg. Give them one more try. They did get a DNS for the last try out, but we're going to give them another try and another go at it as they start to back their way off the trailer and out onto the track. All right, the green flag will drop. Alex will make his way around the course. Going to take it a little easy out there at first, new to the sport of sprint boat racing. A beautiful silver boat out there. If you're just joining us, welcome for the second year here at the Yakima Fairgrounds. We're excited for our second year here. This track was built just last year. It took about 3 months to build. And surprisingly enough, about 3 people worked very hard to make this track happen. If you want to bring ASBR Sprint Boat Racing to your backyard, reach out to us at ASBR Racing on our social media, and we'd be glad to give you any information of how to bring our Sprint Boat Racing. We are excited to be expanding our schedule throughout the year. We'll be here 2 times this year. We'll be moving over to the Port Angeles area along with Lewiston, Idaho. All right, Alex is going to bring that 76 on into the swim pool. Give it a quick little spin around and make his way back over onto the trailer. We have 4 different divisions that will be racing this weekend. First out on the water was the modified class. Coming out onto the water right now will be the LS. We also have the unlimited class making their way out. All right, Kyle of the Instant Velocity gonna back off the trailer and make his way out onto the course. Navigator, Chris Christensen out of Longview, Washington. Last year was his rookie year. Unfortunately, the Gremlins were running around his pit area here in Yakima. Last year blew a nozzle, but this year he is out for revenge. He sparks his way off of that start line, makes a quick left-hand turn to start his rotation here at the Yakima Fairgrounds. Kyle had a great run in that 219. A couple spots looked like he almost clipped the beach and almost went flying, but was able to recorrect himself. Kyle got his racing career here in the ASBR by just going to a boat race. He was a jet ski freestyle rider, came to a couple races and said, hey, that looks like fun. I might have to go get myself a boat. Look at him here in the 2026, his second year of racing with the ASBR. Unfortunately, Kyle took a left when he should have taken a right on the rotation, so that will be a DNF for his first run out onto the course. Next out, the 36-35 Bad Habit, driven by Scott Rapp and Jaylene Rapp out of Linwood, Washington. This hole is called a Jet Speed. They're brought to you by Tacoma Hydraulics and TNS Enterprises. A beautiful wrap job on the side of this 35. Looks like he might have, I kind of saw that from up here, and you could tell that he knew right away that he had unfortunately taken a left when he should have taken a right through the rotation. I'm going to go ahead and try that one more time, but unfortunately that will be a DNF for his first run. Make sure you go up to the vendor alley to go see the ASBR vendor tent. They do have brochures up there that will give you the rotation for this weekend's racing here at the Yakima Fairground. Each track does offer 3 rotations. These drivers and navigators are given the rotation 1 week before the race happens. At that point, you'll see these drivers day and night trying to memorize these rotations. This morning at dark early, I saw a lot of the drivers and navigators doing what's called a walkthrough. You'll see that they walk around the course to get familiar with the course so that they do not have a DNF. We have our first few DNFs. But as the weekends go through, the times will get faster as these drivers get more familiar with the track and the rotation. out here for the ASBR. It is all about power, precision, and performance when it counts. And that's exactly what Steel delivers. Whether it is in your yard or on your job, from mowing and trimming to cleanup, Steel gives you the tools to get it done, including full-line battery-powered solutions built with performance you expect from Steel. Visit steelusa.com to explore more. Next out on the track is going to be our A400. Some of our more experienced and faster drivers making their way out onto the course. We have 13 of our A400s making their way out. What we're doing at this time is our qualification heats. Drivers will go out. Basically, this first qualification, they will be learning the track rotation. Later on in this afternoon, and tomorrow we'll be doing what's called an 8 cut. So the fastest of those 13, fastest 8 of those 13 will make their way out onto the track. Then we'll bring it down to the fastest 4 and down to the final 2. On the course, a bit of a hard hook through that last turn is the Pulse Hall. Pulse Hall has 5 of their boats here this weekend for the Yakima Fairgrounds 2026 ASBR. A large group of them right there in the pits. Make sure you come down into the pits and check these Pulse boats out. They are excited to be bringing their boats from Australia here to the United States. Their plan is to start having their own manufacturing in Lewiston, Idaho. So if you want to get started in ASBR split boat racing, reach out to pulseracing.com. A great run by Brendan Doyle and Tina Huff. Got their career started in 2018. We got a great time of 77.670. Once again, that's 77.670 for the first run of our number 4, Brendan Doyle, Tina Huff in the Pulse Racing, brought to you by JRE Racing Engines and IGA Grocery. We're doing a little bit of a adjustment out here on the track for what we call the eyes on the course. If you look down on the south side of the course, you'll see one of our race officials with his head inside the tube. Inside that tube is what is the timing chips, basically what we call the eyes. There's also up here on the start-finish line, they do have a stopwatch. So they will take all 3 of those times, and that will be the official time of each qualifying and final heats. All right, we got the timing figured out, so we're going to bring out the 22 of Phil Miller and Al Donaldson as they make their way out onto the track for their first time here at the 2026 ASBR. Unfortunately, took a left when they should have taken a right on the east side of the course, so that will be a DNF. You'll hear me say DNF just a few times on these first few rotations. Like I said, they do get their rotations on a piece of paper. Those rotations are available through our Facebook site of ASBR. Down on Vendor Alley, we do have a few of our tents up there. You can get the rotation and the overhead course map so you can follow along to see where these drivers are going. Unfortunately, a DNF for the 22. All right, backing out onto the track out of Burley, Idaho, the 86 of the Juggernaut, driven by Jason, Chris, and Sam Christ. Husband and wife team out here on the track. There's a lot of husband and wives. There's a lot of father-daughters, brothers, best friends out here, so it's always fun to see the family rivalry not only happen at the Christmas, underneath the Christmas tree, but out here on the course. They work really well together. The Chris group is driving a hull that is called a Witchcraft. It's one of the last ones around. It was built in 2014. All right, on that last few turns, he's going to hammer it down and bring it down to the finish line and into the spin out pool. Sometimes I think these drivers have more fun in that spin out pool than they do out onto the track. Bringing out next, the Guano Loco number 21, driven by Larry Steele and Sammy McKinney at the navigation. Larry Steele gets a little close to that shoreline over there to give our beer garden a close-up look at that Guano Loco. I have a feeling that turn number 4 is going to be our main issue of the weekend. It seems like we already got one that banked it up there. A couple of our drivers have gotten extremely close as they make their way around. But as we're on the last few turns, you'll see that they will start to hammer it down and bring it down to the finish line. As you can tell, they both knew it as they took that right-hand hook. It's unfortunately a DNF. That would be a DNF for the 21 of Larry Steele. Sammy McKinney will bring them in. As we are nearing that lunch hour, are you getting hungry and thirsty, race fans? Be sure to visit our barbecue for a great sandwiches, sides, and drinks. We also have a variety of local foods, vendors at the main pavilion entrance in the food court located on the east side of the track. Make sure you go grab yourself some beverages and food right along there at Vendor Alley. Already have a few of our A400s that have made their way out onto the course. Larry Steele just came in, unfortunately, with a DNF. Jason Christ and Sam Christ in the 86 had a time of 69.734. Brendan Doyle and Tina Huff in the number 4 had a time of 77.670. Make sure you grab your pamphlets down at Vendor Alley. You can keep track of the times as we go throughout our morning of our qualifying heats. Then we will go to the final 8, drop down to the final 4, and then winner take all, the final 2 will be happening as the green flag drops. that was number 2 of the live wire, driven by Vaughn Trapp, navigator of Matt Denson. Brought in a time of 83.420. Once again, that's live wire with a time of 83.420. Good run by the 85 Knockin' Futz. As they came through the swim pole, decided to give our island hopper a little bit of a hose down, giving a time of 72.513. 72.513. Making his way out onto the water, the number 27. They call that boat Preventing Insanity, driven by Leighton Lilly. In the silly seat, as we call it, aka the navigator, Cody Holzer, out of Lewiston, Idaho. Got his career started in 2026. This is another one of the 5 pulse hulls that you'll be seeing out here on the course. Inside that hull is a 410 cubic inch Chevy motor. 2025 finished second in points. 2024 second in points. 2026 says he's going to be his year to take the top podium finish. With this great run, navigates his way through that challenging turn number 13 and 5. Be able to bring that speeds up just a little bit. A very experienced driver here in our sprint boat racing. Even though he's only been racing the sprint boats for about 4 years, he's got plenty of experience when it comes to driving and navigating, whether it be on land or water. Used to be a motocross driver. Had an unfortunate accident in 2019 that made him paralyzed from the chest down. Yes, this driver is paralyzed from the chest down. He has hand toggles instead of foot throttle. He says, nothing's gonna bring me out of this need for speed. He's got racing in his blood. With one of our fastest times of the weekend already, brought us a time of 66.231. We talked about this earlier, how we've got males and females that are driving and navigating out on the course. Our Bad Influence brings you a husband-wife duo. Unfortunately, you're going to see that Randy, the navigator, has already thrown her hand down. That is her hint to her husband, Steve. We have a DNF, unfortunately, on the course for our 156 Bad Influence driver, Stephen Church. His lovely bride, Randy Church, at the navigation out of Chester, Oregon. Brought to you by Cobalt Computer Services, Hogan Solutions, Jets, Speed Limited. Unfortunately, a DNF for our husband-wife duo of Stephen Church and Randy Church. The 55 hammers it down, brings it out onto the track, calls that boat the checkmate. At the wheel, Frank Tolfmark, navigation, Kelly Tolfmark out of Castle Rock, Washington. This hull is what's called a jet speed out of New Zealand. 2004 was the rookie year. 2025 and 24 was a modified champion. Making their way out of that 13. Once again, you can hear him flutter the motor just a little bit. That's going to be one of our challenging corners. That is the one they're going through right now on the east side. Finishes with a great run in the 55. Checkmate. You can hear them all the way up here hooting and hollering. That was a spectacular run. Time was 69.512. Once again, in the 55, checkmate gives you a time of 69.512. Fastest time of the morning so far. We're gonna have to see if Michael and Sandy, all the way out of Australia, made it a long journey over here to the United States. We'll see if they can bring that time down below. Our fastest time of the morning, once again, is the 66.231. This is a husband and wife team out here. A fun story about these two. They love sprint boat racing so much. In 2025, they actually got married at the race course with all of their family and friends of the ASBR racing. Michael and Sandy in the number 31. They call that boat, why not? I mean, why not go sprint boat racing? They had a race speed of a time of 81.874. Once again, for the 31 of Why Not Racing, a time of 81.874. Midnight Express gonna make his way out onto the course in the 10.77. Got that name because that is actually a law firm code, an RCW law firm code. They're brought to you by Armstrong and Jameson Law Firm out of Richmond, Washington. James Goldberg behind the wheel, navigating Scarlett Taylor. A little bit of a rough start out there on that first right-hand turn. We'll see how he navigates through turn number 13 and number 5. Running it just a little rough as he comes through the south end of the course. Still kind of getting used to this though. James wants to thank the Swindoll family for all of their help in getting involved in the sprint boat racing, along with the Hyatt family. This weekend, he's racing for a dear friend, Skylar Richford. Fortunately, having a little bit of a rough start with a DNF. That's the 10.77 Midnight Express. James Goldberg and Scarlett with a DNF for their first round. We'll get him back onto the trailer and send him back out later. If you're just joining us, welcome for the second year here in Yakima Fairgrounds. It's like one of our island hoppers is already picking up a piece of a boat. We're gonna have to see who that came off of. We want to thank our island hoppers for everything that you do. That is our safety crew that you do see all around the course and on the inside. They're there to help assist if one of our boats does go flying off the beach. If you were here last year, about our 5th boat in, they decided to go ahead and take it off the beach and park over there on the west side. That is why we do have our fencing so far back. That's for your safety. Make sure that you're taking lots of videos and pictures, storing them across your social media that you are here for the 2026 ASBR races here in Yakima at the Fair County grounds. Out on the track is our 556 Jolly Rogers, driven by Dustin Springer and navigating Don Davies. Jolly Rogers of the 556 brings in a time of 71.744. We've moved on to our unlimited class. We have 4 classes racing this weekend. We started off with our modifieds, moved over to our 400s. We also have our LS. Out on the water is what's called our unlimited class. When I say we're stepping it up to our unlimited class, that means we're going to be stepping up our times. In the 96, Burt Roberts, Terry Lowell brings in a time of 63.952. 63.952. They call that boat the Stars and Stripes. Started in the late 90s, brought to you by Jetco Fabrication Post Racing, a brand new boat to Burt as he's making his way out on the course. A great start to his 2026 season. Something a little bit different about this boat making their way out in the course, the 907 Jolly Rogers. You're going to see an M on the side of this boat. That tells our island crew out there that this driver is going to step it up just a little bit, not run some regular fuel. He wants to run some methanol fuel. All the way out of Alaska, you can hear that thing as it pops his way out onto the start course. Unlimited class, bring it all. Bring it out here on the Yakima State Fairgrounds. The 907 driven by Eric Warner. On the passenger, the navigator, Jennifer Farmer. 2025 was your A400 champion. This is a Spring Tech haul. Make sure you look them up. Jolly Roger 907. Jolly Roger 907. Gives you lots of footage of past races here with Jolly Roger. A great informational social media site. That's Jolly Roger 907 on your social media. Congratulations, Eric Warner, the 907M. You have had the fastest time of the morning with a 59.20. 59.20. Eric Warner in the Jolly Time 907 brings in the fastest time of the morning. Well, we got some other fast drivers making their way out onto the course, the 285. Young River Rogers, just a 21-year-old, won in the 2025 Unlimited class here. Excited for another great weekend. When you don't see him out here in the sprint boats in the wintertime, he likes to go racing across the snow in the snow bikes. We're going to be bringing out the bright orange 285. If you were here last year, you saw him walk away with the championship with that big checkered flag. Can he do it again this year in 2026? We're about ready to find out as we're doing our first rounds of qualifying. Spectacular run by that Rogers team, brought to you by Rogers Motors, TD Plastic, Gateway Pulse. River Rogers with a time of 60.255 in that 285. Just a tick below his biggest competition in the 907. Jolly Rogers of Eric Warner. Gonna have to bring her in, make a couple little adjustments. Next out, in the 33, Ron Gallagher with the passenger of Travis Callahan. That's going to be the number 33 out of Idaho in the bootlegger. The 33 of the bootlegger knew he had his hands full going into that. Got a little bit dicey coming down to the south side of the corner. Was able to correct it back and bring in a time of 65.605. 65.605. The number 3 bootlegger driven by Ron Gallagher, navigated Travis Callahan. As the temperatures start to raise up here in the lovely town of Yakima at the fairgrounds, make sure you take a break, go over to the Legends Casino Hotel tent for a quick cool down. After today's racings or anytime, visit Legends Casino Hotel in Toppenish for gaming, dining, and a good night's sleep. We all hope that you were able to make your way down to the Valley Mall on last night for our great show and shine. We had a lot of fans and spectators. Show and shine is something that we do in the sprint world racing. The day before racing, this gives all of our fans a great opportunity to meet all of our drivers, talk to them and see how they can get involved in racing and how all of our racing works. If you're just joining us, welcome for the 2026 ASBR racing here in Yakima at the Fair County Grounds. We're excited to be here for the second year, looking forward to more years to come. Our pits are open to the public for a small fee of $10. We do encourage all of our fans to make their way over into the pits to meet and greet these drivers. A lot of them do have swag for sale. They're always excited to answer any of your questions. Once again, that's ASBR Racing. That stands for American Sprint Boat Racing. Check us out on all of your social media platforms. Like us, follow us. We are here this weekend. Just a few weeks ago, we were in Lewiston, Idaho. Our next stop will be in Port Angeles. The schedule is listed there on ASBR Racing. Make sure to refill your happiness at the Coca-Cola Happy Truck located on the south side of the main pavilion. You could be the winner of an ice-cold, refreshing Coca-Cola products. We thank Coca-Cola for supporting our Yakima Sprint Boat races this weekend. We're going to go for another round, coming out onto the water here shortly. It's going to be our modifieds for their second round of qualifying. If you're just joining us, our drivers are making their way out onto the track. We do 3 rotations. These drivers are given 1 of 3 rotations just about a week before the race at each one of our courses. Most of our drivers already made their way out on the course. You heard me say a DNF a few times for the drivers. That means that they missed 1 turn on that rotation. 1 split second of a turn can cost a DNF, but we do 4 qualifying heats. Then we'll go down to the final 8 cut, fastest of the 8. Knock that down to the fastest of the 4. Then we'll go head-to-head racing for our we'll take home the checkered flag. Make sure you make your way down to Vendor Alley. We have our ASBR tent down there along with a couple of our tents. Or make your way into the pit area. We've got our Slippery Pickle, and the 611 has some great swag down there for sale. They started their career racing in 2021, brought to you by Wishy Washy Laundromat, Movement Mortgage. For all of our race fans that are listening on our live stream, we do welcome you here for the second annual 2026 ASBR racing here in Yakima, Washington. Please make sure you post where you are listening from and who your favorite driver is. We always like to see the hot competition, not only here on the track, but out there on the World Wide Web. Make sure you put your vote in on who you think will be taking home the checkered flag here for our second year here in Yakima Fairgrounds. All right, looks like the full tilt is having some issues right now. We're going to give them what's called a 5-minute clock. That gives them 5 minutes to be able to bring that back up onto the trailer, see what's going wrong, try and fix it, get out onto the course. Great opportunity for you to jump onto your social media and say that you're here for the 2026 ASBR racing here in Yakima. Throw your pictures across social media, make your way down into the pits, take some selfies with the drivers, take some selfies inside the cockpits of some of these sprint boats. Tell everybody you're here. We are here for the first of 2 days of racing. Last night, we all met down at the Yakima Valley Mall for our show and shine. I know a lot of people were taking some pictures there. Looks like they brought the 03 up. We're going to see if they're going to be able to make it out onto the course of that full tilt racing. Clint Birch, one of the main mechanics on that boat. We do hope that you all are enjoying our sprint boat races here today. If you want to explore upgrade experience, talk to the State Fair Park employee and inquire at the ticket booth for the VIP experience. That is located on the south side of the track. You can see they are all down here in the red and white tents. They're being basically pampered over here with this nice easy ups over here with a great view as the drivers make their way down into the spin pool. The 199 of Guana Local, kind of giving you a close-up view of how it works inside the cockpit. See that there's a driver and a navigator. You'll see that navigator's hand, left hand, is moving left and right. That helps navigate our driver through the track rotation. It's like they might be limping it through. Some time is better than no time when it comes to the end of the day. Try and throttle that down and clean it out. Those are our short block Chevy motors. They're in most of our sprint boat V-hauls. Got our official time for the 199 going to local, Sammy McKinney and Larry Steele. Official time for the 199 is 96.221. Once again, the 199 brings an official time of 96.221. The 03 of Selden and Summer come out onto the course, or not onto the track. Their time on their last run was 97.274. Summer, a brand new navigator onto the sport. Young spry girl, Summer Hoop. Selden gonna give her a good ride in that full Looks like that number 13 turn, giving these drivers quite the havoc. That's the best part. We want to challenge these drivers and navigators through the course here in Yakima. Each course and track is set up differently. Each track does have 3 rotations that they will rotate throughout the year, throughout the season. You can find the track rotation on your pamphlet located at our ASBR tent. Selden breaks in the 03 of Full Tilt. Brought to you by Copycat Graphing. He was a 2025 modified class winner. Summer is a go-getter. If you don't see her out here on the track, you're going to see her just flying around on a quad. Loud and proud is that 6'11" Slippery Pickle in the driver's seat, Jesse Denton. And the navigation, Tammy Armstrong. Brought to you by Wishy Washy Laundry Mat. And almost decides to beach it up on that south end of the course. And able to recorrect it, finish off that rotation here at the 2026 ASBR. That south end turn seems to be causing havoc with him because once again, he just about rolls it up onto the beach. Tucks it awfully close through turn 13. Spectacular run by the Slippery Pickle and the 6'11", Jesse Denton and Tammy Armstrong. They run on pickle juice, and that pickle juice was performing with a time of 67.850. Once again, the Slippery Pickle with a time of 67.850. Next out onto the track will be the Purcell Racing, a brother-sister team. Last year they finished here in third place, trying to step their way up onto the second or first place position. In 2025, they finished third in the final points. Got started in racing in 2019 when they gathered up with the Swindoll and Hyatt family. Make their way out into the course. The back end just got a little loose coming out of that turn number 13 as he makes his way through. You'll see he goes past that turn to the next turn. This is our rotation for the weekend. The 154 Purcell Racing out of Tacoma, Washington brings it in for their second round. Stepped their game up quite a bit on that round. The first round, they did a time of 89.948. On this round, dropped it down dramatically to a 74.997. Once again, the time for the 154 Purcell Racing, 74.997. Out on the course, number 76, driven by Alex Hexby, navigated by Candace Brownsberger, one of our brand new drivers of the weekend. As part of the new driving as a rookie, they have a couple things they need to do, which we saw earlier this morning. They must go out onto the course and be able to navigate and make our race officials happy, along with our island hoppers happy, knowing that they are comfortable enough to be able to navigate through the track. They also must sit inside the boat, close their eyes, be able to unbuckle, find the kill switch toggle, and be able to turn it off. Just a couple things that they must do. If you want to get involved in racing, whether it be a sponsor, volunteer, an island hopper, maybe even sit in the silly seat or the driver's seat, reach out to us at ASBR Racing, which stands for American Sprint Boat Racing. We do have a tent down here in Vendor Alley that would be glad to answer any of your questions. They also do have the pamphlet with the rotation of this weekend's racing. Once again, that's ASBR Racing. Out on the water right now and on our track is the class called LS. We also have our unlimited class, our A400, and our modified. 4 different styles of racing in our sprint boat racing. Sprint boat racing is affiliated with APBA, which stands for American Powerboat Association. You can reach out to apba.org to see all of our up-and-coming races with sprint boats, F1 tunnels, H1. So if you are a hydro fan, reach out to apba.org to find all of your local racing. If you're here visiting Yakima from anywhere across the United States or across the world, Sprint Boat Racing is a nation and worldwide racing. Some of our drivers here are from Australia. We also have one driver that made the long journey down from Alaska. A lot of our boats are built here, but many actually come from Australia. Pulse Boats is located inside the pits. Make sure you put your order in for 2027. They have 36 boats they have made out of their manufacturing company. They're planning on opening a company in Lewiston, Idaho. If you are a marine guru or a mechanic, these are just your simplistic Chevy short block motors inside the cockpits of these sprint boats. Make sure you make your way down into the pits, talk to these drivers, and see how you can get involved. Out on the course is a 219 driven by Kyle and Chris Christensen. They call this boat the Instant Vote out of Longview, Washington. This is one of the pulse boats I was just talking about. One of 5 that are here at the Yakima Fairgrounds for the 2026 ASBR Racing. Kyle is one of our newer drivers here in the ASBR Racing. Went to a race as a jet ski racer, a freestyle Highlander. Decided, you know what, I think I want to try racing one of these boats. Went out and bought himself a pulse boat, the 219, called it Instant Velocity, and had a great run at 71.451. 71.457. Scott and Jacqueline in the 36. Bad Habit out of Linwood, Washington. Unfortunately, with a second DNF of the morning. They're brought to you by Tacoma Hydraulics, TNS Enterprises. Bad Habit Racing, unfortunately, with a DNF. That will conclude our second round of qualifying for the LS class. I'll give you the race results for the first and second round. In the 219, it was a DNF, followed by a 71.457. The 36, 2 DNFs back to back, unfortunately, but he still has 2 more rounds with the qualifying 2, 3, and 4. 76 had a DNF along with a 96.321. You can make sure to keep track of all of our race times. Make sure you go grab yourself a pamphlet over there at the ASBR vendor tent. Want to welcome all of our fans over there in the VIP center. You guys got a great view down there, nice and covered, along with our fans over there at the beer garden. As we make our way through qualifying round 2 in our A400. First out on the water was the number 22, driven by Phil Miller. Nano Donaldson as the navigation brought us a time of 66.354. 66.354 for the number 22. ASBR Racing brings drivers from not only across the United States, but all across the world. And the 22, the Punisher, all the way out of Castlegar, BC. Earlier, you heard me talk about a few of our Aussie drivers from Southern Australia. We're excited to have all of our drivers here in Yakima, along with all of our race fans listening on our live stream. Make sure you post where you're listening from and who your favorite driver is. those speeds as we go throughout the weekend. These drivers are getting more and more comfortable with the course. Jason and Sam Price brought in a 67.662 in the 86 Juggernaut. Once again, the 86 Juggernaut brings in a time of 66.354. Right off the bat, we're going to have to call this one quick. That's going to be a DNF. A DNF. They make their way back to the ramp and to the spin-out pool. Unfortunately, a DNF for the number 2 Guano Loco, Larry Steele and Sammy McKinney. Green flag will raise for Vaughn in the live wire, 0-2. It's a little bit as he comes out onto the track. Powered by a 412 Chevy inside the Slipstream Hall. Brought to you by Maxwell Silver, Tarp Contracting, Dog House, Powder Coating, Ed's Automotive, Trinity Mountain Drone, M&J Drywall. Inside the cockpit, Vaughn Trapp. We got a father-son out here. The driver, Vaughn Trapp. The navigator, Matt Denson, out of Sequim, Washington. Unfortunately, kicks up a little bit onto the beach, onto that north side of the track. Gonna have to make up some valuable time as he finishes off the last few rotations through our 2026 Yakima Fairground. Even with a little bit of a mishap coming through the south end of the course, he was able to bring his time from his first round of 83.420 down to 80.220. So the 0-2 of Livewire, driven by Vaughn Trapp, navigator of Matt Denson, brings that time down to 80.220. Another great run as they're dropping their times right and left. The 85. Nuck and Butts Racing. Brad Castle out of Otis Orchards, Washington. Navigator Dakota Hembach out of Medicine Lake. Their first round was a 72.513. This round, 66.122. Times are improving throughout the day as we're out here for our second qualifying round in the A400 class. As you're enjoying this weekend's racing, don't forget another weekend of racing coming up August 15th and 16th right here at the State Fair Park. Make sure you mark your calendars. Once again, that's August 15th and 16th. Pre-order your tickets at the venue or online at statefairpark.org.